is what I've been arguing about for so long with these rules that put common sense rules in. Just putting drastic rule changes that hurts people and doesn't really help horses is not going to change anything. There's not a single person that I saw this weekend anywhere on Twitter, on TV, on anywhere that said a word about jockeys strikes,
Not
whip
once.
strikes.
Not once.
Not one time. You know why? Not because they put a rule in, but because no one's talking about it, because they moved on to something else. And if there was a race where a jockey had hit the horse 12 times and the horse had went from the one path to the eight path and herded him out, they'd be talking about it. And that's the thing, is that when you have perception problems, you have to change the perception. And I don't see how racing does that, because like I said, we could put all the rules in as straight. We could x-ray and scan every single horse. If a horse clips heels going down the backside, and six horses go over the top of them, and horses fly all over the place, and jockeys fly all over the place, and God forbid someone gets hurt really bad, the general public, they're not going to differentiate that between, they're going to see accident, they're going to see a dead horse, they're going to see a dead person.
So when this made me think of it is, when's the last time a horse kind of broke down like that? And I can remember it was the Preakness in Barbaro in 06, right?
Yeah, 06.
And the part about that is the perception was everybody felt bad and they rallied around the horse for support and things like that. Imagine that in 2023, if that happened, let's say at the Preakness again. I mean, it would be a totally different reaction. Totally different. It would end the game, I think.
It's just we're getting into these uncharted waters that there just doesn't look like there's any way to turn it around.
Well, it's like
not gonna, and this is we've I'm sick of talking about it, but Heise is not gonna change this. Like, you might try to change perception by saying, oh, we have new regulations and we do this and that. Well, what if you have a horse, like you just said, go down in the Preakness, or go down in the Belmont, or in any big race? Like, we have done as an industry a pretty good job of getting attention on our big event days. The Breeders' Cup's got a lot of coverage. May not be the coverage we wanted, but it's still there's a lot of coverage. The Triple Crown races, NBC does. They do a number of races. Fox has a ton of coverage, especially for the big days, and we got more eyes on them than the other days. Well, if we have a bad breakdown on any of those days, it's going to lead to evening news. And that's a damn tough way to, to have to survive.
Yeah, like walking on eggshells. I mean, it's so tough. I mean, I even said it to you earlier when I texted you earlier. I was like, this is the most somber feeling I've ever had after a Kentucky Derby weekend. And I made quite a bit of money this weekend too. It's just I don't know. Things just seem like in limbo, and it's unsettling to me.
And you know what stands out to me, Barry? The lack of leadership in this sport. And that there's no one to go to There's no one out there that's saying, hey, listen, we have a lot of issues, a lot of perception issues, a lot of real issues, a lot of things that we really need to do. We need to come together and we need to figure this shit out or we're not going to be around anymore.
Yep.
No one does that. Everyone, you know what they do? They point fingers. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about a bad track in Maryland. 2 weeks ago, the track pointed fingers at the trainers pointed fingers at the track man. I mean, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. How many cards did they cancel?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I don't want to hear about, oh, well, you know, blah, blah. Bullshit. There's no freaking leadership in this business. None. A bunch of people collecting checks and another bunch of people who are so checked out that they don't know what planet they live on. They want to go back to a time that never existed. And that's really going to be the downfall of racing more than anything. The fact that the tracks don't want to be racetracks and that there's just absolutely no leadership. Nobody's willing to get up and take a stand and say, you know what, we really need to discuss these things in a frank manner and give in. No one is right 100%. No one. It's not even close. It's not even close. But again, we've got to go through the same nonsense. This people, some of these bros that, you know, that live in the this you know,
the bros,
the guys that wear bow ties and shit, and they think that like this thing is because it's always been. Wake up, man. Wake up.
And just think, we haven't even touched on the the Safi coverage yet.
Exactly.
We ain't even got there yet.
Exactly.